Welcome to Elevated, a place where the mystical meets the everyday. I am Dawn, a stay-at-home mom to a wild and spirited boy, and a guide in the realms of Reiki, Akashic Records, natural healing, and soulful living. Here, we'll talk energy, intuition, spirituality, but also the realness of motherhood, wellness, and creating balance in the chaos of it all. So grab your tea, take a deep breath, and join me as we explore healing, alignment, and the beauty of both the magical and the messy. Welcome to Elevated. Welcome to Elevated. I am Dawn. Normally, I would try to educate you on something. I would have some sort of topic and we would be discussing it, and I would have researched it and taught you all that I researched and learned from it. But today I feel like I just want to have a discussion where I can just let you know what's going on in my life. Where have I been for the last couple months personally and all of that. It's great that I do my podcast, and it's great that I do maybe like a little snippet of what's going on in my personal life, and then I go into a lot of teaching or whatever the case might be. But sometimes I just want to have a discussion with a friend, and that's what we're going to do today. I am currently on week 2 of Earth Mystery School, and it's through Akasha Awakening. I took my Akashics level 1 with her, and then this is basically Akashic level 2. I'm really, really excited for it. It is a lot of information. So we're going to deep dive into our ancestors, and I'm excited for that chapter because I've been doing a lot of work within the last year for sure on my ancestral line, trying to clear a lot of things, a lot of limiting beliefs. I'm excited for that one. But it goes into like a lot of astrology, not deep into astrology, but we learn astrology and we learn about the different parts of astrology and Pluto and Saturn and North Node and South Node, which I don't know anything about those. It's a lot of information, and I might, as I'm learning it, do just podcasts of what I'm learning. We'll see how that goes. I feel like if I was to talk about it, then it would stick better. And it's a 6-month program, and we're on week 2 of it. I'm excited. I missed it though tonight. We have live calls, and I missed it because, oh my goodness, my son, every night before he goes to sleep, what we do is we do a book. Well, I read a book, my husband reads a book, and then whoever is putting him to bed will read another book or 2 or 3, depending on which one of us is putting him to bed. We also, before it's just the one of us putting him to bed, we will do a grateful list. And I'm really trying to instill a grateful list into my husband, into me. I've done it before. I used to journal before I had my son every single morning. And in there, I would do a minimum of 3 things that I was grateful for. Throughout the day, if I'm grateful for something, I'll thank the universe for it. Be like, thank you so much for that. You know, all of that kind of stuff. I do it quite a bit. It's just really starting to become second nature for me, and I love it. And I just want that to be second nature for my son. So we've been doing a grateful list probably for sure 6 months, if not more like 8 or 10 months. Quite a long time now. And his are so cute. Sometimes he's like, I'm grateful for my window. I'm grateful for my blind. I'm grateful for my teddy bear. Like, he just kind of looks at something and says he's grateful. And that's fine. He's 3.5. I think it's so cute. Sometimes he's even like, I'm grateful for you, Mom. I'm grateful for you, Dad. I'm grateful for my rug, which he has a really cute rug right now. He has Frosty the Snowman rug. So super cute. So we do that. But tonight, when we were done that, he took his pendulum, because I gave him a pendulum probably, again, I don't know, 6 months ago, something like that. Anyways, it was my old pendulum. When I started Akashics level 1, we used pendulums, and I wanted a new pendulum. And I went into a store in our local town, and the pendulum that I have been looking and searching for years now was there. And of course, I had to get it. So then I had my old pendulum, and I just gave him that pendulum. It is pure copper. And he went and he was putting it over my husband's foot, and then he picked it up, and for whatever reason, just as my husband was about to say, Ty, don't do that, he put his hand around the pendulum part and then took the chain and he started to pull it. Well, the little ring part, it opened up, of course, and then it cut his finger. And he did really good. until he saw the blood. And then he had full-blown meltdown. We put on the Band-Aid brand. It has to be the Band-Aid brand for him because the other brands that we have are too sticky and they hurt when we pull them off. And that's fair. It's Paw Patrol. It's cute. He loves it. It works great. And then he stopped crying, but then he's like, Mom, put me to bed. I ended up putting him to bed. I'm really working on looking at life through his eyes and what he needs. Sometimes I forget that he's just so small and so little, and something as small as me putting him to bed and taking the time away from something that I knew that I should be on the call and saying to myself, it's okay. And my son is important and worthy. And I really do have to have those conversations with myself. I have to be like, it's okay that you're not on this call, because to me, that call isn't that it's so important, but it's what are others going to think of me for not showing up, and what is my worth by not showing up. So it's something I really have to work at and then look at it. But what is my worth by staying in my son's room and putting him to bed? That is more worthy because that is what he needs, and that's going to make him feel worthy. And through doing the Akashics with the lady that I'm taking the course with, she read his astrology chart and then went into the Akashics. It's really cool how she does it. And that's what I'm learning. So I'm really excited. But when she did that, she said that his biggest lesson in this lifetime is to know his worth, which is really interesting because one of my biggest lessons, I honestly think in my lifetime, is to know my worth. I think about it, I'm like a mirror, right? So if I'm mirroring out that I'm not worthy, he's going to feel that he's not worthy, and vice versa. So if I literally believe that I'm not worthy, I'm going to attract people that feel the same way, that they feel like they're not worthy, which makes sense as to why I would have a son that would have this as his life lesson, because I really truly do believe that that is probably one, if not one of my biggest life lessons that I have to learn. So sitting there and thinking, okay, how am I going to teach him that he is worthy? Well, by being here with him. When he says, Mom, put me to bed, because I don't know if he's embarrassed to cry in front of my husband, because my husband isn't always so good with dealing with the emotions because he wasn't allowed to have emotions as a child. I don't know what it is, or if it's just that mother-son bond. I don't know why it is, but when he is crying and he's really upset, he wants Mom. No one else will do. Like even tonight, he was crying so hard and I was trying to find Band-Aids, and my husband was like, Ty, you can come sit with me. He's like, no. And he would not go sit with my husband. He literally followed me around and I carried him, and he would not go sit with my husband. And not that my husband was doing anything wrong. Like he wasn't. He literally wanted to be the person that could comfort our son. And my son was just like, no. So I don't know if it's because he's a boy and I'm his mom and there's just that connection, or if it's because hopefully tried in his 3.5 years to make him feel safe with his emotions. And I've always allowed him to have his emotions. I've never told him his emotions were wrong or bad. I've always said that there's good and bad ways of handling our emotion, but the emotion itself is not good or bad. But anyways, I missed my call tonight, which is perfectly fine. There'll be a replay. I can do that tomorrow when I'm waiting for him to get out of play school. But it was crazy how I literally had to have a self-talk with myself saying, it's okay and you are worthy to not go to that phone call so that you can spend time with your son and make your son feel worthy. And even last week when we were doing the introduction part of the class, I entered the call a couple minutes late because that's usually right around my son's bedtime anyways. I actually wasn't going to, because I just had this like immense, nervous, scared feeling. And I don't know why. I think it was because it was the introductory call and I knew I was going to have to talk and say something about myself. And I'm always so scared to sell myself. I'm so scared to be big, I guess you could say. I always make myself small and I always feel like I'm not good enough. And I've really been working on that. And that's what this podcast is doing for me. It's helping me realize I don't care what somebody else really thinks. I'm still working on it. It's still something I have to really think about and do the work to get through it. It's not like I can just say, oh, I don't care, because deep down I'm still like, oh, did I say that right? Are they going to resonate with that? Are they going to like it? Like even now I'm like, does anyone even care about what I'm talking about? Are they still here? If you're still here, I thank you so very much for being here. But it's just little things like that where I have to think about it and deal with it and work through it. And so last week, yes, I entered the call. And then, of course, I had to say why I was there, what I wanted to learn. I really wanted to gain from this class. And then my name and where I'm from. Like, that's fine. I can tell you my name. I can tell you where I'm from. But the other deeper parts were a little bit harder for me. And I was nervous. And I get sweaty. And I will do this even if I'm talking to someone in person. Sometimes I will start sweating. I have no idea why. I don't know what it is. And I don't know when I started becoming small. Because I don't think as a child I ever was small. I think I was told I was the bossy one. I was loud. I made myself known in so many ways, but maybe it was through high school when there were so many opinions and people, the kids were mean. They really, really were. My brother wasn't the nicest to me in high school. He didn't help my situation. And I think that's probably where I really started taking a tank in my life. I remember in grade 7, the teachers always tell you, if someone's picking on you, come to me and tell me. So I did that because the class was picking on me. And I went to the teacher and I told him that. And then he sent me and a couple of the girls out. And the next thing you know, I'm literally being bullied in grade 7, being called Pinocchio because my nose is big. And I apparently lied about the situation and all of this stuff. Literally had a living hell from grade 7 till grade 12. In grade 11, I started dating. And then at that point of dating, you start feeling like maybe you're worth something. Maybe someone values you. Maybe you're not such a geek or whatever. I started going to that school with a big personality. And then slowly, maybe through high school, I was slowly dimming my light maybe and trying to be what people wanted me to be or what I thought people wanted me to be. So having to say anything about myself last week, I was so nervous and I didn't even want to go on the call, but I forced myself because you have to start getting out of your comfort zone. And I'm very comfortable just being sort of by myself, my son, not really talking to other people, making friends or anything like that. I can have a client come in and I'm okay to talk to them, but to just go out and talk to somebody, it makes me so nervous. And it's really funny because even with my son going to play school, there are the same ladies that are bringing their kids or daycare kids to school. And the one daycare lady I met this summer, okay, long story. So anyways, I saw her this summer and my cousin was at her place being taken care of. And my son and I went to an event and my cousin was there and I didn't know she was being babysat at all this summer. Like, had no idea. So she's at her daycare and my son wanted to play with his cousin. And I said, yeah, you can go play with her. It's no big deal. I said, she's just playing with her daycare friends and they're just playing at the park. And I asked her, I said, is it okay if he plays with you? And she's like, yeah. So as I was saying, you can go play with blank. I'm not going to say her name on the podcast, but I was like, you can go play with blank. It's fine. And the daycare lady looks at me and she goes, are you blank's cousin? And I was like, yes. And she goes, you live up on the acreage by the lake? And I was like, yes. We went to her house one time 7 years ago. Literally, it was 7 years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she totally remembers me from 7 years ago. So now that daycare lady, brings some kids to play school. So I see her quite frequently. And then the other daycare lady, my husband swears that he went to her house this summer and did some work. He's an electrical contractor. So I don't really know her that well. I don't know her at all. And then slowly, because it's been 8 weeks now, or close to 8 weeks anyways, slowly you just kind of you see them sort of twice a week. You just kind of get to know them. Well, we went to go see my stepson race the one day and she's there. We don't even say hi to each other, okay? We just kind of look, we acknowledge that the other one's there. We don't wave or say anything. And then she goes to me on Tuesday when we went to play school. She goes, look at us not even saying hi to each other when we're out. She's like, our stranger danger, right? And she's like, we just had our blinders on, just hoping that the other one didn't see us and whatnot. So we're chit-chatting and everything like that, kind of broke the ice. She's super nice. I like both of the daycare ladies. They're super nice ladies. And then now I have conversations with them. And it took a lot for me to feel like I was safe and comfortable to have these conversations with them, or even Ty's teachers to be able to feel like I could be personable with them and have a conversation about just little things, even, Ty's shoes or how his feet are growing or whatever the case might be, and not just always relate it back to just what he's doing at school type of thing and see them as an actual human person outside of their role as Ty's teacher. So it's interesting how I've become really worried and nervous over my years, and it's more my adult years, of being able to show my light and to be who I am. And then there's people where I'm totally okay with it. I mean, there was a lady at work that her and I, we just hit it off. We were in different departments and we worked in the same building. She was a floor above me, and we hit it off. And just recently we went to a memorial walk for her son, my brother, and she was there, and we gave each other hugs and we talked. Like it was so easy to always talk to her. And then there's other people where I'm so afraid that I'm going to get judged, I guess it is. And I don't know when that really started, but I'm working on getting out of that box and making myself heard, known, and feeling that I'm worthy in order to have people listen or want to listen or even care about what I'm saying. So even today for this podcast, to sit here and be like, okay, halfway through, I'm stopping, and in my own brain, I'm like, do they even care? Like, is this just one I'm just going to babble about and then never actually hit the submit button and actually post it? Or is it one where I'm going to say, no, you're worthy, and maybe, just maybe, somebody cares. Maybe I won't get as many listens or likes on this podcast, or maybe I'll get even more. I don't know. I'm just trying different things, and I'm really trying to look at my life and see where I need to evolve. And it was interesting too, as I was putting my son to bed tonight, I didn't take my phone into his room because I knew I was coming down into my studio to record. So I had my laptop upstairs, and then I just put my phone on top of it. I went to my son's room, and we were just going to do books, grateful list, and then I was going to come down and record. And then the whole finger incident, needing a Band-Aid thing happened, and then he wanted mom to put him to bed. So I stayed in the room and I didn't have my phone with me. And at first, as we were listening to his Yodo, we listened to the Dasher story on the Yodo card. I was like, am I going to be okay without my phone? Like, once he goes to sleep, am I going to be okay? And then he fell asleep, and I was like, you're okay not to have your phone right now. You can sit here and you can take in this quiet time. And I listened to his humidifier going and his air purifier going and him breathing beside me as he was snuggled in, laying on my arm, just snuggled right up against me. And I sat there listening and just allowing my thoughts to happen. And that's when I was like, I need to do just a talking podcast, not a learning podcast, not a podcast where I'm teaching you anything. And I just said, you are okay, Dawn, to lay here in this moment and take in the peace and quiet. I'm asking you this. When is the last time you've allowed yourself to sit in complete silence? No phone, no TV, not reading a book. When have you sat with yourself? It was scary for me to sit with myself. And at one point, I almost felt like I was getting a little anxious. I was like, whoa. I'm like, I haven't done this in a long time. But I'm like, why is my life feeling so chaotic? Why am I feeling so misaligned? Like, why are things not working for me? Well, because I haven't done this. I used to get up every single morning before going to work and I journaled. Even when I was pregnant, I did it. Even when I was working at home, I did it. I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to journal before going to work, to have that peace, to have that quiet, to be with myself, to get to know me, to understand me, to feel my feelings, to get out any anger I may have, to get out any stress, any love, compassion, like whatever it was. I was taking the time and journaling. Well, now that I have my son, I'm not getting up early. That's on me. I started as soon as he was born to co-sleep with him. And then I never made the effort to get up before him. And so now sometimes if I do try to get up and leave his room, he'll wake up. And so now I've told myself, and it's a story I've told myself, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, I haven't done it in a while, that if I leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, he's going to get up. Maybe he will, or maybe he won't, and I should be trying it. But even last night, I went on TikTok and I started scrolling. I didn't get to sleep until midnight. Why? Because I have bad habits. I've been taking my phone into his room and then I just sit there and scroll because I'm not really tired. So then I'll just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. The next thing I know, it's like 11:30, midnight. And so last night, I didn't get to sleep till after midnight. And before I fell asleep, I sat there and I was like, this cannot happen anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. Then I woke up 4:30, and I think at least before 6 anyways, I got up. I was like laying in bed, pretending I'm sleeping because I don't want to move, because I don't want to wake my son up, and I don't really know what time it is. And I'm tired because I went to bed too late, but for whatever reason, my cortisol level's high. Yeah, of course it's high. You've been scrolling all night. Like, you went to bed with high cortisol. Of course, you're going to wake up with high cortisol. Like, let's think about this. So as I was laying there this morning, I'm like, I need to change my ways. This is not working for me anymore. Well, it was never working for me. I need to be more productive. I need to take care of my body and my mind and my soul. And I need to start doing things that are not harming me. And one of the things that I came up with was, your phone is not allowed in his room. It's just not allowed in his room. You're not taking it in his room. You will send a goodnight text to your mom before you go into his room, and that phone stays out. Doesn't matter. It can stay on the island. It can stay in the bathroom. It doesn't matter where it stays. It does not by any means go into his room. I don't need it for any reason except for sometimes to look at the clock, but it doesn't really matter because now we have the hatch, and I just lay there until the hatch goes yellow. So anyways, I don't need it. And then I'm like, okay, well, what can I do? Well, you can read a paper book or you can read your Kindle. That's it. You can read a book. The problem is I like to learn when I read. And I find that when I'm taking a book and I'm trying to learn whatever the topic is, let's just say it's parenting. When I get tired, you're missing the lesson. You're missing the point. You're not always remembering what you're reading anyways because you're so tired. So this morning, I started searching for fiction books. I don't know what book I chose, but it was only, I think, like $7. And then the second book was only $3. So for $10, I have 2 books. I don't know if they're going to be good or not. I just like the title and kind of like the whole story idea. It's maybe about like girl from another realm that's coming to help people see love and compassion and moving on from someone passing, I believe is what it's about. I can't really remember. Anyways, I picked it, bought it, and that's what I'm going to read before bed tonight because I'm not taking my phone in. And I know 100% I'm going to feel better when I wake up in the morning. A, I'm going to go to sleep sooner. I'm not going to be up till midnight. B, I'm not going to have high cortisol before going to bed and then waking in the middle of the night with high cortisol and not being able to actually go back to sleep. That's not going to happen. C, I'm going to enjoy reading a book that is about really nothing. And it doesn't matter if I remember it or I don't remember it because it's not important. I'm really looking forward to going to bed tonight and having that quiet time. And then I'm hoping what'll happen is I'll be able then to, just before I fall asleep, go into my mind and have that quiet time again. Just sit there and know that I'm safe and calm my nervous system. I listened to a TikTok last night when I was scrolling. I was watching this lady and she was talking about money. And if you are that person that if you get money, it's instantly gone. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you are always broke, it's your nervous system that doesn't feel safe and you feel scared. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, And then I was like, well, what would make a person feel safe? Well, a person would feel safe if they went inside, if they got to know who they were, if they took that quiet time to really, really get to know who they were, sit with the emotions of whatever emotion it is, just sit with it, allow it to come up, allow whatever thoughts to come with it. Don't judge them, just sit with them, think them, feel them, allow them to pass, and don't judge. Because there's no wrong feeling. There's no bad feeling. And I say this to my son all the time. I'm like, there is no feeling that is good or bad. I said, how we handle that feeling is what makes it a good or bad feeling. You being angry is not a bad thing. Sometimes anger could be actually a very great thing. It could be the one thing that pushes you to actually succeed in whatever it is. Say you're starting a company and you're really angered at always being poor, or you got let go from your job or fired or whatever the case might be. And now that anger is being fueled into starting your own company. And lo and behold, you're actually making more money in that company than you ever would have made being a worker somewhere. That anger is good. How you take that anger, how you move that anger how you react to that anger. That is what makes it a good feeling or a bad feeling. There is no good or bad. It's just our reactions that are good or our reactions that are bad. Sitting in that quiet, and I don't want to say meditative state or meditating, because that is scary to people. When you say, oh, you should meditate, people are like, oh, but I don't know how to meditate. I do it. Even now I'm like, I don't really know if I know how to meditate. I don't know if I'm doing this right. And a lot of times I will literally sit there in a meditation and be like, am I doing this right? Like my brain's going, I'm thinking like a million thoughts per second. I shouldn't be doing that. I should just be nothing. Because you always heard, get to the point where your brain does nothing. That is really, really, really hard for people. And I don't know if that's really truly meditating, or if you're meditating, you're gonna get answers. If you go in with a question, if you're like, what's my next step in my life, right? Like say, again, we'll just go back to you got let go from your job and you go home and you meditate and you're like, what is my next step for my life? And you're meditating on that. You're going to get noises in your head. You're going to get visions. You're going to get answers. You're going to get however it comes to you. It's going to show up. Well, if you just had a blank mind, you're not answering the question. You're not getting what you need out of that meditation. So I don't think that having a blank mind is the proper way of meditating. I think that there's no right or wrong way of meditating. If your brain is going a mile a minute, but you're sorting stuff out and things are making sense and whatnot, and you're feeling calm with it, it's probably right. And if your brain does absolutely nothing and it just shuts off, and it literally just shuts off, like a man's brain must be able to do, I don't know, then you're probably doing it right. And I say that because my husband's like, your brain never stops. Like it doesn't stop. I'm like, I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm trying to start businesses. I work at your business. I'm like, I am busy. Do you think I have time for my brain to shut off? He's like, you have to just stop and you have to just let your brain shut off. He's like, you gotta quit worrying and thinking about things. I'm like, that's what a mom does. My husband's like, do you ever stop thinking though? Like, do you ever? And I was like, no, because look at like what goes on. I said, I carry the mental load of everything that we have going on in our house. And that's one thing I don't think a lot of men maybe understand, is the mental load of being even just a wife, but a mom for sure. You're literally taking care of your husband, your kids, and yourself and the household. Who gets groceries? That's me. So I have to remember what we need for groceries. I am not a person that writes it down on a list. Should I start? Maybe, because I've tried for about 3 weeks now to get mustard and we do not have mustard. Even today, we did not get mustard. Maybe I should make a list. And I did write it on a list. I just didn't read the list that I had in the truck. See, doesn't really work for me. Maybe it's one I should put in my phone. My son actually said to take a picture, so I had it on my phone and I didn't. At 3.5, he's really, really smart. So you have the grocery list. Then you have anything that's going on with play school. Then this is just me in my house. So anything that's going on with play school, I have to remember. We've had themed days since he started play school. We've had a different color every single day. So I have to remember what color day it is. Do we have the clothes? And if he doesn't, then let's go out and purchase it, because that's just who I am. See, I add pressure to myself too, because he didn't have to have a pink shirt and he didn't have to have a purple shirt. He didn't, but I added that pressure. Okay, I did. I will say that I do add a lot of pressure to myself. I do understand that. Then I have to manage my husband's company and his book work. I manage another girl and her company and her book work. On top of it, I have a podcast. I'm trying to get my website for Elevated Soul Healing done and launched, because I really feel like that's important. I'm also trying to do my socials for Elevated Soul Healing and for Elevated Pod. Trying to do it. I'm not great at it. Never mind the fact that I have just a 3.5-year-old that you have to like remember everything with. Everything. Like, come on now, let's be honest. Oh, where did you put that mitt? Okay, I sent you outside with 2 mitts and now you're coming in with 1 mitt. Okay, well, what toque did you have at school today and what mitts did you have? Did we get them back? Because that's obviously important, because you have to remember all of that kind of stuff, right? That's all on a mom. And the husbands don't have to worry about that. And I know I'm generalizing. I do understand. I'm sure that in every household, there's one person that has a lot more of a mental load, whether if you're female or male, than the other person. And I'm not saying that my husband doesn't do a lot, because my husband goes to work every single day. He has his own company. He manages his work schedule. He manages everything. And he is literally busting his butt to keep me at home so that our son does not have to go to daycare. I understand 100% that my husband has his own stuff, but am I jealous of him being able to shut his mind off? Yeah, I am in some ways. I'm like, you're literally just sitting there watching TV, hey? Like, is there anything going on through your head right now? Because like right now, if I was watching TV, I'd be like, okay, tomorrow I need to put that load in, and then I need to dry that, and then, oh, the dogs need this, and the kid needs this, and okay, we have to do this, and okay, and that's just tomorrow, and then on the next day I have this, and this, and this, and this, and then, okay, oh, and I have to pack, okay, I have to do, yeah. That's what I would be doing literally if I'm watching TV. My husband, I swear nothing goes through his head. I swear. I think even when he scrolls his phone, nothing goes through. I really do. I think that like nothing is literally going through. And I'm a little envious of that. Not going to lie. Maybe one day I can get there. I don't know. I don't know if you can when you have the mental load and the invisible load of everything, even booking hair appointments for your spouse and then them complaining because their hair is really long and they still have to wait 2 weeks. And you're like, I sat there with you and booked it out. And we did what you told me to do. And he's like, it's 2 weeks away and my hair is so long. And I'm looking like, yeah, your hair's really, really long. And there's my son like, I'm going next week. And I'm looking at his hair like, you should have gone like a week ago too. I was like, what? I'm like, Mom kind of failed on this one. Mom waited a little too long. It's like, oops, my fault. Just the mental load of being maybe the default parent is a lot. It really, really, truly is. And I'm laughing about it now. But earlier this week, I was crying about it. I was having a really, really, really hard week. And that's when my husband's like, can you just stop? Like, can you just stop? And I'm like, no, like I can't. And then I was like, yeah, I could try. And then literally like a minute later, I'm like, oh, and then I got the boys this for the trip. And he's like, seriously? Like, can you just stop worrying about little things? I'm like, no, I really, really can't. So I'm hoping maybe as my son grows up, the mental load becomes less. I don't know. Another thing that I wanted to quickly talk about, because we are getting quite long in this podcast, is just a few books that I'm reading or going to start to read. Again, I love nonfiction books. So I'm not going to tell you about the fiction book that I'm going to read tonight. Maybe I'll tell you about it next podcast a little bit. But anyways, I just got from Amazon today a book on Reiki, and I had a Reiki appointment with a wonderful lady out of Saskatoon on the 16th, I believe it was, of October. And her company is the Birch Soul. She's super awesome and super sweet. And then it was distance because she's in Saskatoon, I'm not. And it's awesome. So she was doing my session and she was telling me that when she did my session, she was working on my actual physical body, not my spiritual or emotional body, which was really odd to me because I've never really heard of a Reiki practitioner doing the physical when you're not going in hurt. Like I've seen Reiki practitioners, if you go in with a sore shoulder, they'll do work on the physical body, but not in the sense of you're not going in for something physical. So she started working on the physical body and she was, I did the physical and I hope that was okay. And she's like, but we know that once you do the physical, it's also going to go into spiritual and emotional. And then she told me about a book that she had picked up, I think from like a secondhand store. She just found it somewhere anyways. And she picked it up and she's been reading it, really liked it. There were 17 different hand positions in this book. And she was doing that. And I was like, oh, that's super, super, super cool. So of course, me being me and who I am, I'm like, I have to know this. Like I have to have this book, learn this way because I love learning, right? Like that is just who I am. And so she said it's the Spirit of Reiki, the complete handbook of the Reiki system. And I picked it up off of Amazon. I cannot wait to dive into it. It looks quite lengthy. It looks like there's a lot of information in there, which is fine. I almost want to start reading it tonight, but then again, I'm like, no, don't start reading it because you won't remember what you're reading. So I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I should read it and take notes and then come back and tell you about what I'm reading. Like I'm just scrolling through it right now. There's different symbols that are in there and it's all about traditional Reiki to the present day Reiki, the fundamentals, the lines of transmission, original writings, mastery symbols, treatments, Reiki as a spiritual path in life, and so much more. So I'm really excited to get into it. And then another book that I am reading is called Reiki Shamanism. And I've had this book, oh my God, 6-7 years, for sure 6 years, if not longer. I haven't really read it. I put it away up in a closet and didn't really bring it out to read it. And then the other day, I just went and picked it up and started reading it. So I'm not very far into it because, again, I was reading it at nighttime. I don't really remember what was going on, but it was basically just the introduction part of it. Yeah. Okay. I didn't get far into it. Okay. But it's really good. It's one that I want to read. I love the idea of shamanism. I love that. It's just, I have a calling for that. I just want to learn more about it. Like, how do you read this many books? I want to read both of them, but you can't read them at the same time. Lois Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life book as well. Just starting to dive into it. I really didn't know much about this book. My friend keeps bringing it up to me. She's like, oh, in this book. But I really just bought it because at the back of the book, it'll give you a list of different problems, if you will, what the cause of the problem is, and then a new thought pattern for it. If you have aches, the probable cause is longing for love and longing to be healed. And so a new thought pattern is, I love and approve of myself. I am loving and lovable. So it's really cool. Like, they have allergies in here, alcoholism, AIDS. That's just the A's. Oh, cellulite. They had one about cellulite, you guys. Just saying, if you're female. Eyes. So represents the capacity to see clearly, past, present, and future. And then you could say, I see with love and joy, or cataracts. The probable cause is inability to see ahead with joy, dark future. And the new thought pattern is life is eternal and filled with joy. Wow. They have emphysema in here, eczema. They have hay fever, headaches, heartburn, hemorrhoids, gray hair, stress, a belief in pressure and strain. So you can say, I am at peace and comfortable in every area of my life. I am strong and capable. Wow. Gum problems, paralysis, parasites. Which, I mean, we all have parasites, but that's really interesting to me. Plantar wart, pink eye, pimples, piles, postnasal drip, poison oak. Wow. Spine, spleen, stuttering, a sty. Very interesting. I didn't think like a lot of these would be in there. If you have thrush, your teeth, tapeworm, tuberculosis, urinary infections. What other ones do they have? Vomiting, whiteheads. Really? Hiding ugliness, apparently, if you have whiteheads. And then you say, I accept myself as beautiful and loved. Wisdom tooth impacted. Not giving yourself mental space to create a firm foundation. Varicose veins. The very last one is yeast infections. So you can also see candida and thrush, but denying your own needs, not supporting yourself. And then you say, I now choose to support myself in loving, joyous ways. This is really cool. So anyways, I bought the book for that. My friend was always sending me pictures of it. You know, if we were discussing a health thing or whatever, she would send it to me and I'd be like, yeah, okay. Very grateful for her. And then it does actually, as I'm just scrolling through this book really quick, it does break down all of those a little bit more throughout the book as well. And I think she has a book where it's just that little part that I was telling you about. And then she has the bigger one here that has a lot to do with exercises of releasing, physical release, controlling the mind, just different information. Breaks it down a lot. So very, very interesting book. I bought myself the Advent book where you basically read a chapter every day leading up to Christmas. So there's 24 chapters. We're doing Bookmas. If you don't know what Bookmas is where you get 24 books and you wrap them up. And every day in the month of December, he gets to open up a new book. And then we get to read a Christmas book. You can reuse these books year to year to year. It's not that you have to keep buying new ones every single year. I went to the thrift store and bought a lot of used books, but then there was somewhere I wanted to buy new. I fell in love with the Story Dasher. I went to Amazon the other day to order it because our chapters did not have them. And I found that there's 2 other books. I am that person that has to have a series. So of course I had to buy them. I hope he loves the Dasher series books because I I'm obsessed, and I can't believe that I literally unboxed it and I haven't even read the 3 of them. I haven't even opened it to look at it. I'm sure the pictures are just beautiful because the cover of them it's so beautiful. I am so looking forward to Bookmas this year. Like, so looking forward. I'm listening to an audiobook called Mothering Our Boys, and it is amazing. Like, I'm not going to lie, it is so good. You could use it too for girls. There's a lot of good topics and there's a lot of good educational pieces that would work for either girls or boys. In there, she was talking about how to build a bridge and a bond with your son. And she was actually out at a conference doing a talk when this mom came up to her and was like, I love my son, but I don't connect with my son. She goes, well, you should try doing this where you say, I love you more than, or I love, like, my love for you is greater than, and then you just list something. So tonight, just for fun, because I just learned this today, I said, hey, Ty, I love you more than all the nutcrackers in the world. And that just made him smile because he knows what a nutcracker is, right? And then I said, Ty, I love you more than all the Halloween candy in the world. And of course, it's going to be Halloween in a couple of days. So he was like, oh my gosh, that's like a lot, right? So just doing that, he's now able to take that idea of love and put it into a tangible something, because really love is hard to explain. So this way it kind of lets him, in his little 3.5-year-old mind, have a tangible something that mom loves you more than this. It was really fun tonight to do that with him. I will try and let you know what I'm learning and the techniques that she's giving, because it's a really, really good book. I've learned a lot, just love in general, but it does help you even with your own journey as well, your own self-worth journey, your own self-love journey, all of that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, what's stopping me from telling myself I love myself more than all the nutcrackers in the world? Actually, just doing that, kind of like my heart seemed to like smile. Anyways, try it. Something interesting. I know it was a different podcast episode today. Thank you for being here. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, share, do all the things. You can find me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcast. You can reach out to me at elevatedsoulhealing@gmail.com. So that's elevatedsoulhealing@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Elevated Soul Healing. You can find me on Instagram at Elevated Pod, and you can find me on Facebook at Elevated. The best way to get a hold of me right now is to email me at elevatedsoulhealing@gmail.com. Again, thank you so very much for being here, listening to this podcast. I hope it was enjoyable and fun. And again, like, share, review, follow. Thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate you and I absolutely love you. Thank you and have a wonderful day.